Consciously, I've made a choice. Something outside the purview of conscious is stopping me from implement the choice. You'll realize eventually all therapeutic work is creating an alignment between what I decide consciously and what I am doing unconsciously. Will have problems with clinical psychologists will have problems with counseling psychologists will have problems with um, people who have done distance education in counseling psychology.
Hi everyone, welcome to Psycho Shala. My name is Shubham and I am a psychologist. I am very excited today to tell you कि ये हमारा पहला podcast episode है. And इसमें we have invited one of the best guests I can think of. आप लोग मुझे बहुत बार शुभम सर कहते हो, but मैं उनको सर कहता हूँ, who has given me a lot of knowledge, a lot of wisdom about psychology, Mr. Nitin Shah, who's an amazing psychologist, one of the best mentors and trainers I have met, and founder of Institute of Clinical Hypnosis and Related Sciences. So let's not waste any more time and dive directly into the conversation with Nitin sir. Welcome to our podcast, sir. The first episode, and I couldn't think of anyone else apart from you to come here because whatever I'm doing in psychology, a major part goes to you. So thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you, and thank you for inviting me.
Great, sir. And sir, congratulations on 13th anniversary, which is just about uh, to come. And how excited are you for that 13 years?
So very excited. When we started, we did not know where this was going and how we will manage this. But I think over the years, we have been able to do. Yeah, it's exciting to complete 13 years and to see what's coming next now because there are a lot of bigger plans that we have in place. So let's see how it goes from here.
Absolutely, sir. And would love to be a part of these plans. But sir, I have learned a lot of things. One of the best things that I've learned, which I also share now with my students, is metaphors. So, sir, if you now I've got the opportunity to ask you that if you have to describe these 13 years as in a metaphorical way, how would you describe it?
Oh, I would actually describe it more through a metaphor, which is more of a cliche, right? The roller coaster ride, because it has been some incredible ups, some incredible downs, but all throughout it's been very entertaining and enjoyable.
Wow. Okay. Great. Okay, so I've learned it from the right person. इतना जल्दी अचानक से आपने metaphor बना भी लिया. Very nice. Okay. So, sir, coming to ICHARS, now it's been 13 years, and ICHARS is known for the integrative approach, right? Which is one of the best approaches I have come across. But a lot of people do not know about it. So, sir, could you please tell everyone that what exactly is integrative approach and how is it different from the individual approaches that people strive towards these days?
Okay, so let's talk about individual approaches first, and then we will come to the eclectic approach or the integrative approach. So each approach, whether you follow a more cognitive model, a more behavioral model, or you're someone who is more involved in psychodynamic works or psychoanalytical work, you'll realize all of them have their own strengths, and when used effectively, they give you some remarkable results. Having said that, there are places where some techniques will feel limiting. For example, when you're working with cognitive therapy, right? If you have a client who has a trauma coming from deep past experiences, then you would realize that the effectiveness of cognitive therapy in creating that qualitative shift in their life is limited, especially because you don't have enough tools and interventions to take them into the source of where the problem comes from. Similarly, if you're using psychodynamics, at times psychodynamics is an overkill. There's someone who's procrastinating, you just probably need to sit with them, help them change some of their thoughts, and then we get into past experiences, which opens up a Pandora's box that probably should not have been opened up right now.
Absolutely,
So,
yes.
while each approach has its own strength, they also have their own limitations. What my experience initially was that when people learn these individual approaches, they kind of get married to these approaches. They get so convinced that I will either use cognitive therapy or I will not use anything else. I will only use psychoanalysis or I will use nothing else. which is a problem because eventually when you're working with a client, you need to use a tool that works for the client. It's like a doctor saying, no matter what, I will only give crocin to every patient, right? So
Right.
it, and that's the challenge that I noticed around me. Um, Also because when I was going through my courses, obviously even I went through individual courses at a time, and I saw the limitation when I was working with clients. So I was looking for something that will help me break through these limitations.
Hmm.
And that is where we started combining processes, combining techniques together. Right? Now, luckily for me, I got introduced to this entire idea of effectively creating change in people with the help of hypnosis. So when I learned hypnosis, I realized that when you're working with clients, the role of unconscious is extremely, extremely important. And then the more courses I did, the more I realized how each course, each approach was really trying to tap into the unconscious, knowingly or unknowingly. Okay. Now, someone may ask me, but Nitin, cognitive therapy, to cognitive, how unconscious,
Right. Correct.
right? So let's look at it this way. When a client comes to us, are we on the road telling people therapy le lo, therapy le lo, therapy le lo?
Not at all. बिल्कुल नहीं.
No, right? So client comes to us because they want to create a change
Yes.
that they are not able to. So let's say someone wants to quit sweets. They are coming to me and they are telling me I want to quit sweets. So consciously, so they already want to quit sweets.
Yes.
What conscious work are you doing with them?
Hmm.
What they're really
Exactly.
telling us is that I want to quit sweets. I have made this choice consciously. But something outside the control of the conscious is stopping me from being able to give up those sweets. So when I see a sweet, either I have this internal craving that I am not able to control, and I am not the one creating that craving. ऐसा नहीं होता कि I look at a sweet and I tell myself, अच्छा भी craving create करते हैं.
Absolutely. Correct. Right.
So that craving is getting created automatically. And it's craving that I am not able to control. So consciously I have made a choice. Something outside the purview of conscious is stopping me from implementing the choice. So if this is conscious, this becomes unconscious.
Absolutely. Right.
Right? So when I'm working with clients, what am I doing? I'm actually helping them create an alignment between their conscious and their unconscious, where their conscious has made a decision and we now want the unconscious to support that decision. So that the next time when they see sweets, their first feeling is feeling full,
Hmm.
content, and maybe even a disgust if there is a particular sweet which is really bad for their health. Now this needs to get created as spontaneously and as automatically as the craving was earlier.
Right.
Right? So coming back to cognitive therapy. So what do people do in cognitive therapy? They will say that when you look at sweets, there is some thought that you have which is automatic. Automatic thought means I am not consciously creating it. So there is some part of you generating a set of thoughts which are leading to that response. We will help you become aware of that thought. So we will help you become aware of what was unconscious earlier.
Right.
Bring it to the conscious awareness, hopefully be able to change it, and with practice over a period of time, this change will become as automated as the original craving was.
So that's why they that's why they promote repetition.
Correct.
Hmm.
Right? So now what we have done, consciously I made a choice, something inside me, probably a part of the unconscious was preventing me from executing that choice. I brought the unconscious to the conscious awareness. Tried creating a change in it consciously and through repetition hoped the new repetition will automatically become a part of the unconscious. So what have you worked with, the conscious or the unconscious?
Unconscious. Absolutely.
Correct? Now, no matter which approach to therapy you pick up, you'll realize eventually all therapeutic work is creating an alignment between what I decide consciously and what I am doing unconsciously.
So
There is no rule.
unconsciously, Sorry, yes, please.
There is no tool more powerful than connecting with the unconscious and working with unconscious in comparison to hypnosis.
To hypnosis. Correct.
Right? Because hypnosis by definition is working with the unconscious.
Working with the unconscious. So, sir, by the meaning of unconscious, what we are trying to tell people is we are working with something that is going inside within us, which we are not likely aware about right now at the moment.
So at its surface level, the idea is that there are things that are operating within us which are not a part of our conscious awareness.
Hmm.
So we need to be able to tap into them and work with them.
Okay.
Okay? At a slightly more deeper level, the way we understand unconscious now is that there is this super intelligent resource hub in our system, okay, which is super intelligent but is also a pattern replication machine. So once it accepts a pattern, then it replicates that pattern. Right? And what is
Yes.
happening is there is a pattern that we have accepted earlier. So sweets, whenever I feel alone, I eat sweets, it makes me feel loved.
Right.
Now that is a pattern that the system has recognized, has inherited, or has accepted. Now it's not thinking about the pattern again, it's just going back to the pattern and replicating it. So every time I'm alone, I'm feeling alone, I'm not feeling happy. If I see sweets, I want to eat sweets. Right? Now what we are saying is we need to be able to connect with this part of us, help the part realize there are other ways of achieving the same outcome.
Right.
We can seek the wisdom of the same part to find other ways.
And what could be those other ways, just for example?
So for example, someone says that I feel unloved. Right? So I'm feeling unloved because either there is an intense need for feeling love which is more than what is rational. So there are people around me who take care of me, who love me, and yet I am feeling unloved. So then the unconscious is holding on to certain past patterns that we need to address. But there can also be the other situation where I've just shifted to a new location altogether. I don't know enough people over there.
Hmm.
And therefore I'm feeling alone. And now in that moment, sweets comes very handy. And then when I eat sweets, I feel loved, and over a period of time, it creates a pattern. So now my system needs to learn there are other ways of feeling loved. Maybe I can go out, make friends, meet new people, interact with them. But like I said, again, this is a conscious conversation that we are having. Many a times you can connect to the unconscious and help the unconscious itself figure out what the
Right.
best alternate ways can be.
Right. So ideally, we are working on the cause of the problem or that feeling. So, like the sweets and the feeling of unloved or feeling lonely, and what are the other ways we can, find to get love and to feel important. Okay, so that's the cause that we are working in. And
So we are working with
yeah,
both the cause and the new strategies to ensure that in future we know how to address a similar situation.
similar situation. Got it. Okay. And so how, as you said, that hypnosis comes out handy and it's the best one. So how would you describe the benefit of hypnosis over the other therapies for
So I
working on
wouldn't
this?
say hypnosis over the other therapies because then it assumes that hypnosis by itself is a field of therapy,
Hmm.
right? Which we don't subscribe to.
Yes.
Hypnosis is purely a very powerful, effective tool to connect with the unconscious.
Okay.
Now, once you've connected to the unconscious, you will still need other therapeutic tools to be able to create a change in the client.
Right.
Right? Now, like I said earlier, even without hypnosis or even without calling it hypnosis, technically, when you are using CBT, you are still trying to influence the unconscious, so knowingly, unknowingly, you are using hypnotic principles.
Right.
But
To
you are
connect with
using
the
it,
unconscious. Yeah.
correct, but you are using it without awareness. So
Hmm.
it's almost like we are leaving it to chance. With certain clients, the hypnotic state gets induced and therefore the results are very good. With certain clients, you keep using the same strategies over and over again, but the client is not responding. Why? Because those processes were not reaching the unconscious. So we are saying, why leave it to chance? Why not just learn hypnosis once and then learn to combine hypnosis with these different forms of therapy to
And
ensure
that
that you can get
becomes
good results.
integrative.
Correct. Plus, the bigger thing. Traditionally, when I would speak to people who would practice these individual techniques, they would tell me that within cognitive therapy and psychoanalysis work on completely different principles, at times are completely contradictory.
Hmm.
That's true till you understand what's happening with people. The moment you start looking at problems from this point of view, consciously I want to do something and I'm not able to do it because my unconscious is coming in the way. Now you know whether you're using CBT or you're using humanistic approach or you're using psychodynamics or any other tool. You have to create an alignment between the conscious and the unconscious. And that's how hypnosis becomes the thread that connects all other forms of therapy together.
Right. So ideally, behind the picture, we are working towards making the desired change that the client is looking forward to, and that is the objective of, I think, all the therapies out there. It's just a different route that they are taking. An integrative approach is combining all the routes and making the best one possible, depending on the person sitting in front of you, without assumption कि इस पे
Per-
यही काम करने वाला है.
Perfect. So since you began with metaphor,
Hmm.
a good metaphor to consider this is five blind men trying to define an elephant. Right? So that's the
Right.
story of the field of therapy. Each approach to therapy is correct in their own ways, but they are also trying to understand and resolve a problem through the limited view of what they can sense. An eclectic
Yes.
approach really becomes like a person who is opening their eyes and looking at the elephant as a whole and saying, all right, what can we do with this elephant now?
Wow. This is something, now I need to think about it after this call. Wow, what a great metaphor. I'm going to definitely use it everywhere now. Okay, so sir, coming back to hypnosis and taking the superpowers of hypnosis and making it, th- and using it as a therapy, how do you what combination do you think should a person learn to begin with? Like hypnosis is there, right? And a lot of people are not teaching integrative therapy. A lot of people are either teaching CBT, REBT, ACT, etc. So if a person goes and has to learn hypnotherapy, what is the best combination they can start with?
So, like I said earlier, when we learn these techniques independently, whichever technique we start from first has a potential for us to become biased towards it,
Hmm.
right?
True.
That's actually the reason why when we now cover this, we cover it as an integrative approach from the beginning itself.
From the beginning itself. Okay.
That from the beginning, if in your level 1 itself, you learn how you can combine hypnosis with different techniques and tools from different approaches. Then you
Right.
realize that, all right, there is a potential to integrate things together. And that opens you up to the idea of further integrations going forward. Right? So, therefore, my suggestion is when you're learning, it's always a good idea to start with a course where you're learning this as an integrated approach.
So even for the early counselors, like they're in masters and they are just beginning to learn counseling, you would suggest to directly go to the integrative approach or work on something else?
I would suggest go to the integrative approach simply because in integrative approach, you're learning the individual approaches any which ways,
Yes.
but you're also learning to combine them.
Because as far as I understand, they would be able to see therapy and counseling as a whole and not as parts of counseling.
Correct.
Understood. Okay. And sir, because you have been dealing with students, even early professionals, and I have seen myself that there are a lot of very experienced people coming to you as well. So what do you think, now experienced people also I'm pretty sure they would have taken a lot of other trainings, etc., but they end up coming to integrative approach, right? So what do you think is the mistake, or I would say mistake that people are making right now when they are beginning to learn counseling or therapy?
So it's okay. So when people are, so let's look at their journey. There would be people who would complete their bachelor's and they will probably do their master's in psychology.
Yes.
While they are doing the master's in psychology is when they start becoming really serious that after master's, I need to set up my practice.
Yes.
Right? Or I need to get a job. But while they are doing master's, they also realize that what we are learning is very theoretical.
Yes.
We are not sure if this will really be applicable when it comes to working with clients. And if they happen to do a decent internship during the masters, then that realization dawns upon them even more intensely.
Yes, I have seen that.
Yes. This is not what we've been prepared for.
Right.
So now they start looking for courses. Right? So when people are looking for courses, what are the first few things they look at? They would look at the cost. So generally people will go for one of the cheapest programs.
Cheapest program.
Okay? Which is no better than what they've learned earlier. Probably is more of a waste of money because everything that they're learning in that theoretical program will probably be something that they've already covered in their masters.
Yes.
Then they go for the most shiny object. So which is the one which is loudest? Right? So if a celebrity comes and promotes a particular course,
yeah,
then all of a sudden you're like, that celebrity may have nothing to do with psychology per se.
Yes.
Right? But because the celebrity XYZ promoted it, okay, this should be good. So that becomes the second issue. Then is the problem in the field itself. There are a lot of organizations play on the misinformation and lack of awareness and fear that psychology students have. So I have seen courses being promoted as we are MSME registered, so you can legally practice after you've done courses with us.
Yes, sir. I have seen that too.
Right? And they would say Government of India affiliated institute.
Yes.
And you ask them, what do you mean by Government of India affiliated? We are MSME registered.
MSME registered, Startup India certified.
Startup India certified.
Yes.
Right? So you're wondering, I mean, is this what you want to sell your courses for? So for all of those people who are looking for courses, if there's an institute that's out and out primarily trying to sell their courses by saying we are MSME registered or we are Startup India registered, okay, please don't even look at their curriculum. Not worth it.
True.
Next is check that the trainers who are there in the course, whether they are themselves taking sessions or not.
Correct.
Right? Because if they themselves are not taking sessions, then what they are telling you, even if they are doing a demonstration, they are doing a demonstration based on what they've read in a book.
It's like assistant professor teaching us and about counseling.
Correct. Right? So, how different do you expect it to be from what you have done in your college?
Correct.
So that's important, that the person that you're getting trained with either is currently in active practice or has years of practice in the past.
Right. True.
Right? And do your research, explore the curriculum, and then decide which course you want to opt for. So the biggest mistake that people make, coming back to your question, they go after the shiny object, they go after celebrities endorsing courses, and they don't really take the effort to talk to the key trainers.
Yes.
Before making a decision. And if an organization tells you that we can't let you connect with any of our trainers, so if they can't connect with you before a course, you can imagine whether they will connect with you after a course or not.
And there are so many organizations that once the certification or the course is done, then thank you so much, Tata, bye bye, and there is nothing else. The only thing that you will get is another advertisement of another course by them, but there is no post program support that you are getting out of that, and which is very important, I believe. And so, sir, if I ask you this one
So
question,
just 1 minute. So that is one additional thing that I would like to say, that when you are joining a course, please check that the institute that you are doing the course with offers some kind of support post the program. It should not be that you've done the course, now you're on your own. And
Right.
it cannot just be that you have my number, you can call me whenever you want to, because वो कभी होता नहीं है. There has to
Exactly.
be a more structured way of receiving support. And second, if you can, find a support community that you can become a part of.
Hmm. Right. Support community is very, very important. I have recently worked on one of the communities, and the power of community comes out in a different way altogether, to be very honest. Because there's a group that's working on the same goal, right, in a different way, and when people, one of them is not working, another people are working, it automatically triggers something inside ki bhai mera main kya kar raha hu, what am I doing, I should now buckle up. And then if the community is strong enough, if it is, well knitted, then other people are ready to help, and everyone grows together. And this I've literally seen, uh, which which also brings me to another question about the community. But just before that, I would ask you, is the duration of the course also important in any way?
See, so the duration really depends upon what kind of training you're going through, right?
Hmm.
If you are joining a program which tells you that we will help you learn how to ask questions, now that doesn't need to be a 1 year long course,
Absolutely.
right? But if you're enrolling for a program that is telling you that we will help you work with a variety of issues, be it procrastination to be it trauma, then obviously the duration of the program has to be longer, because you will not be able to learn all of this in 3 days.
Right.
And second, when you are doing courses like these, there are times when people will have like a 30-day course where every day there is a training program happening, and in 30 days you're learning a lot. My personal opinion, not a good idea. Because there's so much of information overload that for those 30 days you feel very high. But probably for 10 more days after those 30 days.
True.
And on the 41st, 42nd day, if someone were to ask you, what did you learn? Half of that is gone.
Correct.
So it's always good to be able to attend a program which is long term, maybe a year and a half, but also gives you enough spaces in between to be able
Yes.
to digest what you have learned, to be able to practice what you have learned, see the results, and then continue to the next phase or the next level.
Right. So, personally, if I will say about ICHARS, because I've done all the 4 levels, so it would not be right on this platform. But I want to understand from you that how ICHARS is trying to fill the gap that we just spoke about related to training and courses.
So, one, ICHARS as an institute from the beginning has been sure that we want to offer people support after the workshop. We are probably the only institute right now that offers lifetime support after you've done a course with us. Every Friday, invariably, we have a Q&A session and a case discussion session with all our participants. We have an yearly refresher which is completely free. We allow people who have done courses with us to repeat the courses again completely free for the first time. And subsequently, if they want to repeat it, then there is a 500 rupees per day ka charge, but that's to ensure that when you're joining in, you're there for the entire batch. Otherwise, managing the batch becomes difficult. We run a full 1 year fellowship program which is free, where you are actually assigned a mentor. The mentor works with you on a week by week basis. You are learning not just one-to-one therapy skills that you have learned in the courses. You're also learning how to conduct webinars, how to conduct live sessions. So there is a lot of these peripheral skills that are required for you to be able to generate clients. All of that becomes a part of our fellowship program. The fellowship community is very well knitted. So there are so many times when you save so much money because someone has already tried an experiment on ads, let's say. And when you want to do it, you talk over it and the person already tells you, all right, this is something that I've done. Don't do this, this is how you will. So there's a lot of learnings that you get because of the pure experience that is there.
Correct.
Right? So these are all the things that we are doing. Second, as far as the program is concerned, I'm obviously biased in favor of the courses that we've designed. But as objective as I can be, I'm not sure there's any course which is as comprehensive and as detail oriented about what you're learning as we are. And when I say detail, I'm not saying detail in theory. think detail actually in practice part of it. Uh, the courses, like you already know, are all integrated. So from level 1 itself, you are learning to integrate techniques together. Um, and we have now a model where you have pre-recorded modules which help you prepare for the class. Then there are the live sessions and then the post workshop material to ensure that you have immense practical experience in the class and you have conceptual material available for you to support whatever you have done in practice. Right? So all of this is what we are doing, what I remember from the top of the head, but there are, with ICHARS, there are just so many things that we do with our existing students that at times it's even difficult to remember, acha, what else is there that we probably are doing.
No, absolutely, sir. I think I am the biggest testimony of the courses. I was lucky enough, I was able to do all of the levels one by one. The one thing, sir, that I think you missed is every level is complete in itself. And from the beginning till the end, you do not exactly have to do till go to level 4 to start executing. Even after level 1, you can start taking clients. Level 2 becomes better, and this goes on.
So
So,
that was intentional actually. So what happened was, so two things. One, this thing about practice sessions, right? So I would talk to people who have done courses, other courses, and I would ask them, how do you practice in the courses? And they will say, we will do role play. The courses that I attended also with other trainers, generally the way to practice techniques is you're doing role play. And in role play, you take up a hypothetical problem that you are addressing through that role play. And I would keep wondering, are we saying that everyone in the workshop are so sorted that they have no problems in their life?
exactly.
So
Yes.
if they have problems in their own life and they're going through a course where they're learning how to work with other people, why are we practicing based on role plays and hypothetical cases? Why are we not taking up our own real life challenges,
Real life challenges, correct.
practicing them with them in the class and see what result it creates? Because the confidence that I get when I see, all right, a technique was applied on me and I could actually notice a change in my life. And I applied the technique with someone in my class, and during the course of the program, before the course ended, they were able to come back and tell me this is how my life has changed.
Correct.
So this is one thing that we ensure, that everything that we do in the class, it's actually based on a real problem and not on a hypothetical problem or a role play or so on. Second was this, that like I said earlier, there are times when you do extensive courses, but you have to wait till the complete course comes to an end before you start working with clients. Where we struggle with the same thing, that I've learned so much, but when I get to practice, I might not remember everything because it was all too much. So with each level, the reason why we made it in a way in which each level is complete is that after every level, you should be able to go back and practice.
Right.
So that all that you have learned in level 1 has been literally imbibed through practice into your system. You know what works, you know what doesn't work. And then you go to the level 2. And then you work with clients. So that's the reason why it was designed in a way in which we wanted each level to be complete in itself.
And
So we
then that's
designed,
great.
sorry, one last thing. When we designed it that way, we were told you are crazy. If level 1 itself becomes complete, why would people come to level 2?
But that worked in your favor, because I know, I have seen, as soon as I completed level 1, I was so curious कि अब level 2 में क्या होगा. And after level 2, it was for sure that I am not going to go back. I have to complete all the levels. And talking about the real cases, real problems, hypothetical problems, even I tell all my students that to come up with their problems and not make it, because as soon as you start making it, there is no end to it. You can keep continuing, you can keep coming up with the problems, and the other person who's becoming a counselor will start doubting himself कि मैं पहुंच ही नहीं पा रहा हूँ कहीं तक. So you are only creating stories there. And so that brings me to this question, which is very important for me, because a lot of students that are there are bachelor students. So what do you recommend, sir? That do you recommend bachelor student to start learning the skills of counseling from the bachelors, or should they wait for the masters?
Okay. So if you are a bachelor student who is not sure whether I want to do the masters or not, whether psychology is the field for me or not, right? then it's a good idea to enroll for a basic program in counseling. Then I wouldn't say join an eclectic approach or any of this. I would say then just start with the basics, maybe questioning skills, listening skills, and some specific techniques that you can use with yourself and with clients to get a taste of it and see how it feels to work with yourself and work with other people. If that resonates with you, right, then go for a full-fledged comprehensive program. So yeah, that I would recommend would be a better way to go. Can they do counseling skills programs? See, to be fair, there are enough CBT courses, there are enough other therapy skills courses which don't have any eligibility criteria, right? So is there anything stopping them? The answer is no. Will they benefit from it? Probably the answer is yes. They will. So they can go ahead with that. What I would suggest is, if you have not done your masters and if you do any of these courses, right, then don't call yourself a psychologist. You can work from a coaching point of view.
Right. True.
That's also the reason why our level 1 and level 2 actually are coaching diploma.
Yes.
The reason was this, because we realized that there are certain people who are transitioning from other areas of their life. They are interested in this field, but they don't know whether this field is right for me or not. So they enroll for a level 1, they do the coaching part, they start working with people through coaching, and then most of them that I know of, by the time they finish level 2, would actually enroll in a master's program in psychology because they want to do level 3 and level 4.
Right. Correct.
But that also gives them the confidence that before we invest so much of money, before we invest so much of time in a master's program, just check whether this is right for me or not.
True. Right. And sir, one thing I also keep telling bachelor students are that start with the foundation and work till you are in your masters. Your basic skills, like for example, asking the right questions, listening skills, showing that kind of conversation or real empathy which is there and not just the theoretical empathy, rapport building. Work on these skills so much that by the time you reach your masters and you start learning those trauma related cases, relationship issues, and deep emotional issues that are there, it becomes easier for you, because as soon as you see the real client if you go to a psychiatric clinic and you see a real client talking in the way that you have never seen, you will get stuck for a moment because you don't know anything right now. But if your basics are there, if you started working on your basics, at least you'll be able to have a small conversation with them and make them feel comfortable in front of you.
Plus, more importantly, all the skills that you've spoken about right now, be it questioning skills, listening skills, empathy, rapport building, even if these people don't decide to go into their masters in psychology and they decide to take up any other field, these are skills that will be useful in every area of their life.
Every area of their life, correct. And sir, just one last segment that I have for me, I've written it down also. Is Sir, it's called myth versus fact. Okay. And you have to tell me that whether it's a myth or it's a fact or reality, myth or reality, and why. Okay. So the first one is that therapists should have all their issues figured out.
They will never be able to become therapists if they wait for all their issues to be figured out.
So it's a myth.
Myth.
Okay. NLP is a pseudoscience and not helpful in therapy.
So partially a myth, partially true, partially false.
Okay, and sir, why?
See, NLP is not one technique. NLP is a field of study where there are multiple concepts in it. Some extremely useful in therapy and coaching. For example, the techniques for rapport building that NLP talks about are phenomenal. The questioning model that NLP has in meta model is probably the most structured and efficient questioning tool that you will come across.
Yes, sir.
Some of the techniques like anchoring, thought projection processes, some modalities, they are very effective. In fact, many other therapies, the practitioners who claim NLP pseudoscience, They
Hmm.
themselves teach something called, they themselves teach how you can project your thoughts on billboards, and then you can play with the color and size and so on. That's basically submodalities coming from NLP.
Yes, correct.
Right? So there are enough things in NLP which can be very, very useful when it comes to working with clients. But as a field of study that evolved by observing people, there are also certain things in the field which are discarded, which are no longer effective or useful, right? But certain people still want to carry it forward because, well, it's a USP, it's a selling point. And
True.
one of the things is NLP people would say can be used to figure out whether you are lying or speaking the truth.
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Now, with certain people, can you? Probably yes. Will it work for everyone? The answer is no. So, if you start using it as a part of your therapy tool, that I'm going to figure out whether my client is speaking the truth or lie,
Hmm.
then you are calling for trouble. So, there are things in NLP which are questionable, and there are things in NLP which are extremely efficient and powerful. So, it's just learn it and then see which one you can apply with your clients and discard the other things.
Perfect. Thank you so much, sir. And the next one is, sir, online training is not as effective as in-person training.
Depends upon whose online training and whose offline in-person training are you attending. So myth. I have attended enough offline programs to tell you how bad they can be,
Hmm.
and I have attended some of the online programs which are as good as you will find them.
Yes.
Right? The programs that we conduct, for example, we have more or less been able to replicate the entire experience that people have offline, except for providing them with food and tea,
Hmm.
right? That they have to do at their own house still.
Yes, absolutely.
But apart from that, from a training point of view, okay, so to quickly summarize, as a in an in-person offline training, what will happen? In a good course, there will be a trainer. They will explain the concept. Then they will practically demonstrate a technique. Then they will ask you to break into groups of 2 to 3. Will put you in different corners of the hall or the room that you are in, where you will practice. And while you are practicing, the trainer will walk around to just check what you are practicing and whether what you are practicing is correct, not correct, if you need any help. Right? And after the practice session happens, there will be a debrief.
Right.
The problem with this, even when you are sitting in different corners of the room, the truth is that the voices from one table to other table go.
Correct.
And then you're, if you are the person who is declined, you are not sure how much to say, because not just your partner who is playing the role of the therapist listening, but there are certain other people in the room who are also listening.
Right.
Right?
True.
And as a therapist, because there are others who are talking, you are at times getting distracted by their conversation. With online training, you can replicate the same thing but in a more efficient way. You have the main room where the trainer describes a concept, does a demonstration in front of everyone. Then you get divided into breakout rooms.
Breakout
In
rooms. Hmm.
breakout rooms, are exclusively the 2 or 3 people who are supposed to work in a group. So no other sound is going to interfere with your practice round. And the trainer can still move around all breakout rooms to check what's happening and then come back and have a debrief. So personally speaking, I feel if the training program is good and the organization designing the training program is smart, online training can actually be a lot more efficient, a lot more powerful than offline training can be. In the context of the work that we do with psychologists and coaches. If you were to ask me about corporate training, my answer would be different, because they're the kind of people you're working with. Some of them don't even want to be in the training program. They're simply there because they want to eat and drink. So वो scenario अलग
वो
हो
थोड़ा
जाता
अलग हो
है.
जाता है सिनेरियो. करेक्ट.
Correct. But from a therapy and coaching point of view, the online platform is phenomenal. And if done correctly, it's more efficient than the offline programs.
Right. Okay. So, sir, the last one that I've written is, so you need to be an extrovert to be a good counselor.
I am not an extrovert.
Neither am I. But I've
So,
heard a lot of people saying, I don't know how to talk to people. I am very, but I want to become a counselor. Will I be able to become or not? So,
so how much you talk has nothing to do with counseling, because you can talk a lot and what you talk can all be rubbish. Right? So how much is not the question.
right.
The question really is, when I talk, do I know what to talk? That's the skills that you need to develop. Now, whether you talk a lot or you talk very little has nothing to do with the substance of what you're talking, right? And that's the role the training programs are supposed to play in your life. So, if you are interested in becoming a counselor or a therapist and you're an introvert and you're attending a training program, it's the job of the training program to help you develop that skill,
True.
right? Now, if that doesn't happen, my personal question will be more towards the training program than you as a person who is lacking in skills, because you obviously don't have those skills and so you're going for a training program.
And then you're not able to build those skills, then what is the use of
That particular training
that
program.
training program? Correct. I hope people listen to this part, which is very important. Sir, this was not written, but I just came to my mind when we were talking about life coaches, and I started as a life coach. But since I've come to this field, there's a lot of hatred against life coaches, and they don't know anything. People should go to therapists, etc. So it would be great if you can summarize how and when are life coaches effective, if they are effective, and why this hatred is out there right now.
The hatred is not just towards life coaches, it depends on who you're talking to about whom. Psychiatrists will have problems with clinical psychologists will have problems with counseling psychologists will have problems with um, people who have done distance education in distance education in counseling psychology will have problems with people who have done life coaches will have problems with motivational speakers, and
Right.
motivational speakers will have a problem with spiritual gurus.
Yes, but recently I've seen, because I was attending one of the workshops, and as soon as I entered there, the first discussion that was happening was that life coaches ने पूरा psychology का एक field ही बेकार कर दिया है. इनको लगता है इनको सब कुछ आता है, ऐसा है वैसा, and they have not interacted with any life coaches. It's just that they might have seen the Instagram, and then I reached there. It was my first day, and I said, I have come from this field. I want to tell you a lot about this field. It is effective to an extent, and that extent ends somewhere, and that is why I've come into psychology. But and I've seen a lot of stories, Instagram stories talking about it, so I thought if we can
See,
clarify
so
this.
the thing is, okay, so to be fair, and I don't know to be fair or unfair to psychologists and coaches both. One, as a lot psychologists have their own challenges, right? So primarily, one, they know their skills themselves is questionable, simply because they have what they've learned in the master's program is not sufficient. And that's not their fault. They've invested time, money, effort in doing a master's program,
Right.
which just wasn't up to the mark. So now they have taken a field and they don't have the required skills to be able to work with clients. So now they are running from courses to courses, investing more money, right? So they've invested time, effort, money. And sadly, while some of them may even have developed skills to effectively work with clients after all this, they have not developed the skills to generate clients.
Which is one of the
Right?
most important skills.
Correct. So now what happens is, when I am not getting a client as a psychologist, and I see certain people creating reels and videos about coaches and saying that as a coach I am getting so many clients, which also is questionable whether the coach who is claiming it is getting so many clients or not.
Yes.
Right? Because then that's the marketing game. But anyways, assuming they are speaking the truth, that they are getting so much clients, now the question is, after I have invested so much time, effort and money, I still feel I don't have the required skills. I don't have enough clients. How is this person standing over there without a master's in psychology claiming that he has the skills and he has the clients? Now, that चुभता है यार कहीं पे.
Comparison mindset तो सर आ ही जाता है, because even I have seen when I was a life coach, I was able to charge 2 to 3 times more than when I became a psychologist. Automatically अगर मैं बोल दूं ना कि मैं इतने की थेरेपी लेता हूँ, तुम इतने की थेरेपी देते हो, तुम्हें इंसान की फिक्र नहीं है, कदर नहीं है उसके इमोशंस की, और मैं कोचिंग अगर मैं इस रेट में देने लगूं, सो नो वन विल कम, इट इज सच अ सस्ता कोच, क्या ही करता होगा.
So, which is the second problem, that the problem with the field of psychology is that psychologists have somehow been bracketed into a lot which can work with intense emotional issues.
Hmm.
Okay? Which is ironic because you have courses called trauma informed courses.
Yes.
As if you can be a psychologist who doesn't understand trauma. Then I'm not sure what kind of a psychologist are you. So वो अपने आप में एक अलग then is a
डिबेट
story.
हो जाता है.
एक अलग debate हो जाता है. But coming back to what we were speaking, that people believe that if I'm going to psychologist, there's something wrong with me, and therefore I have to go to psychologist. And
Right.
therefore people are not willing to go to a psychologist. Coaches have positioned themselves as aspirational.
Hmm.
You want to achieve more in life, come to us.
Correct.
So now to achieve more, people are willing to pay more.
Right.
So all of this creates a lot of bad blood between psychologists and coaches. Plus, to be fair, many coaches end up doing a remarkably bad job.
That's absolutely true, sir.
So now what happens is, someone who was seeking help ends up going to a coach rather than a psychologist. The coach has no idea what they are doing because this is not the kind of clients they were supposed to work with.
Yes.
But we feel we know everything, so we start working with them. And then all of a sudden, a situation which was bad becomes worse, and by the time it reaches a psychologist, it becomes even worse.
Hmm.
Psychologists themselves are already struggling with their skills.
Hmm.
So now their ability to address that even worse situation
Becomes a more
becomes a
difficult.
question. So
Hmm.
that creates a spiraling loop. For coaches, one, if they were to get trained properly and they know what their limits are, if they recognize that, all right, at any place where we notice intense emotions, we notice that there is a problem coming from past baggages, we should not be working with these clients, we should refer them to a psychologist. Okay? The conflict between psychologists and coaches would reduce, but we are talking about a world where everyone understands what they need to do and they do exactly what they need to do. For psychologists, if they realize that as a psychologist they need to be able to promote themselves not just as someone who can deal with intense emotions, but who can also offer aspirational value to clients, you will realize the number of clients available are far greater.
True. Because as soon as you say psychologist, I go to my gym and इनको पता है कि आई एम अ साइकोलॉजिस्ट, सो सब कौन से पागल को देख के आए हो, क्या कर रहे हैं, अच्छा संडे तो आपका पूरा पैक्ड रहता होगा पागलों के बीच में. सो दैट्स द माइंडसेट, और यू नो दैट्स द एसोसिएशन दैट हैज बीन क्रिएटेड, and to change that it will take some time. So I think it is good to start marketing in a different way, where you talk about the problems plus you talk about the aspirations. And coach versus psychologist debates will go for a long time, so I'll not take it ahead.
Yeah, they would, but like I said, just to shortly summarize this, to be fair, this debate is for everything. It's
Yes.
between coach and counseling psychologist who has done a distance education and full-time education, counseling and clinical and those who have done MPhil and those who have got registered with RCI. So
Hmm.
this is one field where everyone thinks that they know everything and everyone else.
And then comes the psychiatrist, जो कि वो फिर एक अलग ही डोमेन हो जाता है, and it becomes very difficult to convince them कि this person also needs counseling. And if
So
I have
there
seen a
are
lot of psychiatric clinic also, they are working with, they're doing really great, जिनको पता है कि भाई मैं साइकेट्रिस्ट हूँ और उसको एक काउंसलर या फिर एक क्लिनिकल साइकोलॉजिस्ट की ज़रूरत है. दैट इंटीग्रेशन इज हैपनिंग, which is great, but some of the time it is not happening, which is also creating a problem कि 2 दिन से नींद नहीं आई तो लो, 1 महीने की दवाई चल रही है. That also is a problem in our field. I think more regulation and more intelligence is needed here, a lot more awareness.
we just need to learn to realize that not everything can be done by us.
Hmm.
There
True.
are others available who can do a better job with certain things, and we may as well seek their help.
Correct. So we should work together rather than working against or
each other.
competing against each other. Let's work in collaboration. Okay, sir. Thank you so much for all this information. But I want to end first of all talking about the celebration that we are all going to have on 13th anniversary. So again, thinking about as a metaphor, ending it with that as well. So, sir, if you see iCharts as a 13-year-old human, right? So, which stage is this person in, and what is the future look like?
So I would say, as a 13-year-old teenager, uh, ICHARS is an incredibly innocent and yet super intelligent teenager.
Wow. Okay.
It's innocent in the sense that it realizes that there are limitations to everything that we do, and it's super intelligent in being able to bring things together, integrate things together to make the best out of whatever is available with us.
And where is this teenager heading now? What's the plan?
So this teenager is now planning to expand, uh, both in from ICHA's point of view, as moving out from India to a lot of European countries, which we plan to announce. We'll announce our first Canada batch on 26th of
Wow.
May. Uh, ICHAS is also set up a sister concern called Meet Goals, where we are getting into corporate wellness programs. With all the students that we have trained, we have a large number of those people available with us now. So we can work with them, with corporates, to be able to help them improve their performances and get better results. And eventually we have something else in store which we will announce on 25th for the psychologist community. But we will discuss that on the day itself.
Great, sir. And just to let everyone know that there is a summit that's happening, psychology summit that's happening on 24th and 25th, where you learn a lot, where you'll connect with other people. So I'll also share the link of the form in the caption. And there also you'll get to know this big surprise, and which is going to benefit each and every individual who's in the field of psychology. So, sir, just to end everything for our viewers and whoever is going to watch this, one last word of wisdom to everyone who's in this field or who's going to come in this field. What would you like to tell them?
Keep working on developing your skills. Don't get too bothered by what people around you are telling you. Most of them are telling you things that they have no idea about. They've heard from somewhere else and they're saying it back to you. As long as you are committed to developing your skills, psychology is a field where there is immense potential. There's a lot of, there's a very high scope for income. I know a lot of people will tell you psychology के अंदर income नहीं है, psychology के अंदर jobs नहीं मिलते हैं, jobs नहीं मिलते हैं, fair enough. I also understand कि बहुत सी बार आपको internship भी पैसे देके करनी पड़ती है. But once you develop the skills and if you know how to set up your private practice, this is a field which is immense potential. So develop your skills and just continue on this path and you will notice that the life is good for you
Great,
and for
sir.
people that you work with.
Absolutely. And I can resonate with each and every word that you have said. Thank you so much for coming here, sir. And it's been always wonderful learning from you, talking to you, being with you. And I've also got the chance to meet you coincidentally in Mumbai. So, sir, I hope I meet you again. But till then, sir, thank you so much. And I wish you all the best and all the good luck to iCharge and all the future plans.
Thank you, Shubham, and I'm looking forward to catching up with you soon. Thank you, bye bye, take
Thank
care.
you so much, sir. Thank you.
So here we come to the end of our conversation. I had a lot more questions, a lot more things to discuss with Nitin sir, but unfortunately we had to stop here. We may call him again, and if you really liked the conversation, comment what was the favorite part and subscribe us for more such content. We are going to call some amazing guests very soon. So So stay tuned and take care of yourself.